Jake had always figured life on the farm was as predictable as a Sunday morning sunrise, but when his trusted bull, Red, started charging at an old oak tree in the western field, that routine was out the window. This sudden outburst had Jake scratching his head, but curiosity got the best of him. He grabbed his shovel, figuring he'd check things out beneath the surface. As he started to dig, though, he felt a chill run down his spine. What he uncovered made him stumble back in shock, his heart racing like never before. Was it a new scent or something more sinister? My boots sank into the earth with each step as I tried to piece together what had caused this outburst. I was sure I'd find an explanation soon, but the questions kept swirling in my mind. There had to be something about that spot under the tree. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. As I leaned on my shovel, enjoying a brief moment of stillness, the phone in my pocket buzzed. It was Lena, the dispatcher, checking in after hearing about Red's odd behavior. "Hey, Jake, everything all right over there? Heard Red went wild," she asked, her voice laced with both concern and curiosity. "Oh, Red? Yeah, he's just being weird today," I replied, brushing it off while secretly pondering his peculiar antics. I tried to reassure Lena on the phone, suggesting it was likely rabbit holes or something equally mundane messing with Red's focus. "Probably just Red having a bad day," I chuckled, wanting to keep my own curiosity in check. "I'll figure it out soon enough," I added confidently, though my mind kept drifting back to the strange behavior of my usually steady bull. Lena seemed satisfied but urged me to call if I needed anything. Not long after hanging up with Lena, Deputy Harris, who'd heard about the commotion, called as well. "Hey Jake, want me to swing by and check it out?" he offered, clearly intrigued by Red's antics. "I'd appreciate it, Harris," I replied, willing to accept any help to figure out the mystery. "All right, see you soon," he confirmed before ending the call. Red was still restless, snorting uneasily and eyeing the tree with a strange intensity. I couldn't help but wonder what lay behind Red's fascination with that particular spot. Despite all the strangeness, I decided to focus on the day's work weeding, planting, the usual farm chores, but there was no shaking Red from my thoughts. His behavior was totally out of character. Every moment I spent not thinking about the old oak felt forced. I knew I couldn't leave the mystery of the tree unresolved for long, but the warning signs of rain made me hesitate. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the field in shades of orange, I busied myself feeding the animals. Anything to shake off the eerie afternoon. Whatever had gotten into him seemed to cling to my own worries now. In the dimming light, the farm felt different, less like home and more like a puzzle needing solving. As darkness settled around the farm, I knew I'd need to delve deeper into this mystery soon. As the evening settled, I made sure to lock the barn up tight. Red's antics had me on edge, and I wanted answers. Why would my trusty bull go berserk like that? I needed to figure this out. Morning broke with the smell of fresh coffee, but something felt off again. Red was snorting and uneasy in the field, making my coffee taste like dirt. "Come on, Red," I muttered, looking out the window, hoping for some ordinary bull behavior. But no such luck. With Red still acting odd, I gave Lena a ring. "Hey, Lena, just checking if there's been any strange calls lately," I asked, half hoping for a quick answer. She just laughed and said, "Nothing out of the ordinary, Jake. You sure the missus isn't pulling your leg with a prank?" I chuckled, knowing all too well my wife wouldn't dream of it. Her laughter didn't relieve much of my concern, though. Mid-morning, Deputy Harris showed up in his dusty truck, looking as curious as ever about Red's antics. "Heard your bull's acting up, Jake. Thought I'd come and scratch my head with you," he said, offering a friendly pat on my shoulder. We walked towards the field, with Harris eyeing the tree like it had some story to whisper. "What do you reckon's got him all riled up?" he asked, scratching his head thoughtfully. As we stood there, Harris brought up old tales of buried treasure and cursed grounds. "Remember those stories folks used to tell? Or just old wives' tales?" he mused. I nodded, recalling how my grandma swore there was gold beneath these grounds. With a sly grin, Harris suggested we dig. I headed to the tool shed and pulled out 2 shovels, their worn handles creaking in my grip. We set up like detectives, lining up our tools and surveying the area with amused seriousness. By noon, we were knee-deep in dirt. As we dug, we shared stories and theories. As the sun began to dip, Harris glanced at the time. "Gotta meet Lena, but I'll swing back first thing," he said, tossing his shovel into the truck. "Don't dig up anything too exciting without me," he laughed. "See you at sunrise," I called back, suddenly aware of the looming quiet. The smell of coffee stirred me, along with a call from Lena. "Morning, Jake. "Harris'll be over soon," she said cheerfully. Harris arrived with a hot cup and his usual grin. "Morning, treasure hunter," he said. "Right back at you," I replied. "Think we'll find El Dorado today?" he teased. "Maybe just a few old rocks," I answered, though part of me still hoped. We were determined to see this through whatever secrets Red had uncovered. We were going to find them. Today, Red was unusually still, his amber eyes following us with uncanny focus as Harris and I resumed digging. The soil began to soften, offering less resistance. Harris paused and wondered aloud, "Think it's nature's treasure or man's mystery?" The question lingered. We were close to something, what we still didn't know. Suddenly, Red snorted and took a step forward. Harris gave me a look. "There's more to this than roots," he said, kneeling down. Moments later, his shovel hit something solid with a metallic clang. We both froze. Harris's eyes widened. "That's no rock," he said, brushing away dirt. Excitement surged through us. Red's eyes sparkled with silent confirmation. I dropped to my knees and joined in. The metal wasn't ordinary, it was shaped, deliberate, strange. "This doesn't belong here," I said. We stared at the object, coated in time, half-buried and full of questions. Red paced near us, unusually animated as we examined the strange object. When I crouched for a better look, he nudged my shoulder as if urging me on. With each scrape of our shovels, the air grew heavier with anticipation. Harris gave a low whistle as more of the shape came into view. "This ain't just another rock," he said. Whatever it was, it had a presence, like it carried history within it. Its glint in the sun revealed age and corrosion, but also craftsmanship, too deliberate to be random. I called Lena, describing what we'd found, though my words couldn't fully capture its strangeness. Talking about it made it feel real, yet more surreal. Recognizing the find might be significant, Harris snapped a few photos. It was time to bring in others who might help identify what we were dealing with. As we dug, I couldn't shake the weight of the moment. It felt like the object was meant to be found, like a long-lost message resurfacing. Word traveled fast. Soon, a few neighbors wandered over, drawn by rumors of what we'd unearthed. Old Man Jenkins approached with a grin, curious and skeptical. Harris welcomed the crowd, spinning theories of buried valuables and local legends. The crowd leaned in, eager to believe. Stories from long ago resurfaced, old myths now suddenly tangible. What started as a quiet dig had become a community event. Red stood off to the side, calmer now, satisfied perhaps that his message had been received. The mood lightened. I joked about selling tickets, and Harris played along, quipping about popcorn. Tension gave way to shared laughter, turning the mystery into something everyone could feel a part of. Our shovels scraped more layers away, revealing defined shapes. "Look at that edge," Harris pointed out. It was a corner-sharp, metallic, intentional. More neighbors gathered, exchanging guesses. The suspense continued to build. Finally, the full outline emerged, a rusted, rectangular container. "It's a box," Harris observed, brushing it off. Everyone stood still, eyes locked on the find. The question was no longer what it was, but what it held. Red gave us a skeptical look, almost as if mocking how long it took us to follow his clues. I gave him a pat. "You knew all along, didn't you?" He responded with a gentle nudge that made everyone smile. Harris took more pictures. "We'll show these to the experts," he said. Whatever the object was, its story was only beginning. What we'd found wasn't just buried metal, it was a spark, a mystery that would soon ripple through the town, with Red, our unlikely guide, at the center of it all. The neighbors didn't leave. Instead, they stayed, digging with us, sharing tools, stories, and theories. "It's like one of those adventure movies," someone joked, passing me a shovel. A sense of unity grew. What lay buried had drawn us together, turning our quiet field into something extraordinary. Red stood watch, calm yet alert, as if overseeing our progress and making sure we didn't stop short of the truth. The object was heavy and rust-covered, with a lid that looked ready to give. Harris handed me a wrench. I twisted it with effort, the lid squealing like an old barn door. The sound echoed across the field, and everyone leaned in. With a sharp creak, the lid came loose. Harris and I peered inside, breath held. Inside the box lay relics, papers, photographs, and worn objects that shimmered with age. Harris picked up a faded photo and passed it to me. These items weren't just old, they told stories long forgotten. We'd uncovered a time capsule that felt as much a part of us as it was of the past. Further inside, we found what appeared to be an old safe, scarred by years underground. Its rough surface spoke of age and experience. "This thing's been through some history," Harris said, pointing out the battered edges. Inside were documents, fragments of a story. maybe even clues tied to a forgotten crime or long-buried scandal. Harris and I exchanged a quiet look of realization. This was no ordinary find. Our farm had held more than roots and stones, it had hidden a narrative waiting to be told. Red stood proudly, as if sensing we finally understood. Then, with quiet dignity, Red turned and wandered off toward the barn. "Guess he's done leading us," I murmured. His exit felt final, like a guy departing after his job was complete. A sense of closure settled over us. Harris and I remained still, absorbing the weight of the moment. We hadn't just uncovered something strange, we'd unlocked a forgotten chapter, one buried beneath our feet all these years. As evening fell, I dialed Lena and the sheriff. Harris stood by, contemplating the implications. "This could crack open old cases," he said, piecing it together in real time. A hidden past, discovered by accident, now demanded answers. I looked out across the field, once so familiar, now forever changed. What began as Red's strange behavior had become something far greater, an unexpected journey into buried truths. And it was just the beginning.